Here's an interview I conducted on November 14th with a man named Dave. He and his wife's home was severely flooded. At the time of our conversation, it had been about 7 weeks since FEMA last contacted them. I followed up with Dave yesterday, and he shared that it's been approximately 11 weeks with no word from FEMA. Despite this, he remains hopeful that they'll eventually get back to him.
Contacted FEMA back and said, I want to reopen the case because you can get out here.
Stay tuned until the end of the video, where we show you even more of the devastation.
Where their house is where they found the lady's body.
This looks like a war zone, like something you would see on the battlefield.
Were you home when the flooding happened?
No, we were actually in Morocco.
This looks awesome.
We're on the other side of the world. The Marines were here 2 weeks ago, about 20 of them from Camp Lejeune.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they dug probably 50% of the mud and dirt.
Yeah, because all their
out of the
furniture
house.
and everything was piled up at this wall with furniture piled on top of just like,
Yeah,
what do you
yeah.
think, 5,
Yeah.
6, over 5 feet of
Yeah,
mud.
over 5 feet.
And
for
it was
sure.
throughout the entire house, feet
And
of
the
mud.
water line, which now you can't really see, was about 6.5 feet. But in the last 2 days, Samaritan's Purse was here and they cleaned the rest of the floor. They took out all of the wood side of the,
They're
the
awesome.
house.
They're the
Took
best
out the-
volunteer group that I've seen out here.
Yeah, took out all the insulation and cleaned the floors again. And it's just unbelievable what it looks like now. The dirt was all the way to here.
You just stepped from mud
and
to mud.
on this side as well.
Right
So
through
all
the
you
window.
did was a little bit of a ramp, and you just stepped right on through, and you're in with all the debris here.
This
But
looks awesome though.
It's all gone
Awesome.
now. It's just been numerous groups, and
But where would you be without volunteers?
well, we'd be in world of hurt because we don't have flood insurance, and it was. For me to dig this all out by myself would have taken years.
Just finished this house, they
So
got it
we
to
were
where you wanted
flooded
it?
3 years ago from Tropical Storm Fred, and there's only 18 inches of water inside the cabin. And we had to have the walls removed, the insulation removed, and all that. So we were rebuilding, and we had just gotten the back 2 bedrooms completed after 3 years. And then we went on vacation like a couple weeks later and then come back to this. So, yeah, we didn't even have time to have friends come over and stay in the bottom bedrooms because it all happened so fast.
What are your thoughts on FEMA? What's your experience with them? Have you had an experience with them?
We started off on kind of the wrong foot. Is where I filed an application within a couple of days of the storm. I talked to somebody, and then a couple of days later, somebody called me back up. It was the agent who was going to come out here. And I told him, well, you need 4-wheel drive, or you need 4x4, or side by side, whatever.
Bike,
Yeah, to come out here.
ATV.
And he said, I have to be able to park my car next to your house. And I said, you can't bring a car because the roads were compromised.
Bridges were out.
Bridges were out. This bridge was out. And he said, I'm going to be closing your case. And it's documented as such. He closed my case. And he said, call back when we can get a vehicle up here. And the funny thing is, a few days later, there was another guy with FEMA to go to someone else's house up our street. And he said, I'm not even supposed to be here because we're not supposed to go, if the bridge isn't available, we're not supposed to drive over a creek, through a creek. I mean, it wasn't that deep, maybe 8 to 10 inches deep at that time. Now it's maybe 4 to 6 inches, but we talked and I said, okay. So we waited a couple more weeks till finally they had built a slight drop down off the road across the creek because it was much better than the way this guy did. I think he came from further down the creek.
Yeah, he
across.
crossed somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere else. But so contacted FEMA back and said, I want to reopen the case because you can get out here. And because I've been driving up here once I got my truck out.
Yeah,
And that's
you didn't
another
throw him under
story.
The bus, the FEMA guy. You probably didn't say no.
I know what his name is, but no, I'm not going to mention it. So eventually, after about 3+ weeks, a FEMA person came out just to look at our house. And I think we had some volunteers working around in the garage. I think maybe not in the house at that time, but in the garage. And he took notes, took pictures, and said, we'll be in touch. And so this has been
5 weeks ago.
almost 4 weeks ago. Yeah, it's been 7 weeks. Tomorrow will be 7 weeks anniversary of the storm, and it was Friday, 3 weeks after the storm. So yeah, tomorrow will be 4 weeks, and I haven't heard anything other than the fact that if you pay for a generator, they'll reimburse you. If you need housing somewhere, they'll help you out with that too.
Yeah, they still have no power or anything. They're running off of generators still.
Yeah.
So it took them like 3-4 weeks to even like respond to you, and
Well,
then
3
they
weeks.
to
No,
come here.
yeah, to get here.
To
3
get
weeks.
here.
Yeah,
And
3
now
weeks
it's
even.
been 4 weeks and you haven't heard
Yeah.
a peep from them.
No.
Nothing.
No, not on what's going to happen. What's the next step for? Are they going to give us some money or no? Have no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, and you contacted them within days because you already had experience with them from the first one.
Now I've heard that over at Fred's in Burnsville, they do have some trucks or some facilities that temporary that you can go over there and talk to them. So hopefully later this afternoon or tomorrow morning, I'm going to go visit them because I also need to go talk to the Yancey County Building Inspector because they're the next group that has to help us get power. Because
Yeah.
French Broad came out last week, terminated our, they took the meter,
Your meter.
disconnected, and then a couple of days later, another guy from French Broad came out here with a new meter, and then he looked around because it looked horrible in here still,
Yeah.
and he said, I can't put a meter in, so you're going to have to talk to the Yancey County Building Inspector. I've called since last Thursday, probably a dozen times. All I get is a voicemail.
I'm sure they're good.
And I even left a couple of messages. One was just call me back. The other was, can we set up an appointment? Because they mentioned that in the voicemail. What day do you want to set it up in time? And they haven't responded back or anything. So it's
That's what I've said. The only people, like government officials that I've seen actually doing something are like every day are linemen.
DOT.
DOT.
Yep.
But not like federal government.
And then
nothing from the federal
and
government.
lots of volunteers
That's
everywhere.
that's what I was
Everywhere.
explaining, and that's what you'll hear from everyone, from every victim of it, every volunteer. You hear the exact same thing. So it's not anyone making it up, and no one's trashing the people that actually work for FEMA or the military personnel. It's just they weren't given orders to do anything significant.
Yeah, so 2 Fridays ago, it was a convoy of Marines and Air Force, because I could read their labels on their fatigues. They helped get the bridge back in order. So they built up the last 50 feet of debris, piled it up, made the road to connect to the bridge, because the bridge never washed out here. It's
Yeah, that
just
probably took them like an hour.
a couple hours.
Couple hours? Yeah, that's nothing for them with those
I know.
machines.
They had amazing.
Yeah, once they're here
Huge
and they
machines.
have the machines and the people who know how
Yeah,
to
graders,
rebuild
dump
everything.
trucks, track hoes, had a number of different types of machinery here. And they got the bridge going, and it's been fantastic. So there's just little progress here and there. How long have we owned this place? 18 years.
This is home for you.
It
It
is,
must be
and
hard
it
to
looked
see
totally
it.
different before the storm.
You
Yeah,
found
this is
some-
all green grass right here up
Wow.
into the edge of the creek, which is probably, from here it was about 80, maybe close to 100 feet.
Well, all the
And
stuff
then-
that washed down from the people up the mountain.
Upstream,
Yeah,
yep.
all this debris and stuff that came from up there.
Yeah, there were 2 fatalities up the creek, but I didn't know them personally. One of our friends who found a victim down the creek from here knew the lady that died and was able to recognize her.
That was the half a body. That they
Yeah,
found.
that was within the first couple of days after the storm. Yeah, she had been outside. I've heard the story from people that have passed it on from her husband, that she had gone outside to look at see if the hill's going to wash out, and just got caught at a bad time with a mudslide, and she just washed her
Or a wind,
probably
gust
2
of
miles
wind put her
up the road, at least 1.5 to 2 miles up the road, and they found her 150 yards from our place.
Yeah.
That's amazing that she went that far.
Yeah, I've heard about people who've been found in towns
Miles away.
in others, like in Tennessee,
Yeah.
from Bakersville, Relief, North Carolina.
A couple of days ago that showed up, they were at the bridge, white car. They ended up walking down, and they were the scouts for Samaritan's Purse, trying to find our house.
Yeah.
And then said, we've got a crew of 28, 30 people. And this was 2 days ago. And I said, great, this is where we are. And so they just stayed there. They didn't even drive the car over. And the other group came, and one person helped them. He was going to help them find this location. It's a guy who lives about 3/4 of a mile up, and you take a right onto Cold Springs, and his house is like the second house on the right, and the undercarriage of his house washed out into the creek, this creek, and they say it's dangerous to be in the house now. I don't think he's staying in it now.
Oh, I'm sure. Is that your furniture and stuff out there at the road? That was in here?
Some of the stuff, yes. So this guy had just kind of a mini skid, and
Oh, with that church group that
yeah,
crew
just
had-
yesterday. But I don't
Dang,
think
y'all
he
got
was.
people coming in nonstop.
Yeah, I don't think he
That's
was with the
awesome.
church group though. He was somebody they had met independently, and he came out to help them. For
Yeah, see, that's what.
yesterday afternoon.
Keep explaining that. Just
So
people
all of
brought their own
Yeah,
machinery.
there's so much stuff done in the last 2 days. So today is a break, which is good because I had to build a little French drain in the back because we've got water. You haven't seen the rest of this. Yeah, so it rained inside last night, and yeah, I've got to go to Camp Miller and get a squeegee and just brush it out. It may evaporate before then, but I started building a little French drain from here to here, so the
Yeah.
next time it rains, it'll have some sort of all of the
Wow.
debris that you see right here was
Oh, it was up against the
up
house.
against and over the roof. And then the first group that had power saws
Yeah.
cut it in about 30 minutes off the roof. But the rest of the debris was all the way against the house. And then a group 3 weeks ago actually pushed it all the way out to here.
Were these
we
rocks
had
here?
a garden. Yeah, we did have a garden. Then we had a raised bed garden. Over the summer, we grew a number of different vegetables. And our dog Bella liked playing out here too. We'd throw the ball.
Yeah.
And she'd bring it to me. Wouldn't give it to me, but she'd give it try to give it to me. Yeah, so it's still compromised in the front of the house. It's bowing out because the flood came through this window, this door, the side door, another window on the other side, and just came right out the front door. And so the front of the house is pushed outwards. So structurally, it's probably not 100% safe, but that's why we're not
Is that
staying
why
in
y'all
there.
are living in the loft in the
Oh
garage?
yeah,
They're
absolutely.
living in the-
Mr. Bear or Mrs. Bear was in the house within the first few days because you could see the bear prints.
Oh, okay. So a bear was in.
Oh, really?
there's bear
Oh yeah,
prints through the
and they
house.
went upstairs too. So.
The bear went upstairs?
Oh yeah, yeah, and we have no
Wow.
idea when it's actually gonna take place. I've tried the correct
Yeah.
avenues, and it's just not happening yet. But you just got to be patient. I mean, that's all you can do. In the garage, yes. No, that's volunteers that did that for the generator. So it connects, the box connects us to a panel inside the garage. And they cut the wiring from the house because before the storm, the wiring came from the house to provide
to service that.
service to the garage.
Trees across the top of all of it, crushing everything. But there was a rental car here that was crushed too, and I guess they took that out.
The restrooms and showers and washing facilities for washers and dryers and sinks are part of FEMA. So
Those
that's
have been a
one-
lot of help,
Those have
and
been
it's all free.
Yes, that has been probably the best service they've provided for this area that I can think. And I've heard rumors that all of that may move.
They're already closing up laundry stations. Like the ones that are closest to us are already closed down. Closed down some of the shower stations, bathroom stations. Yeah.
Yeah, there are people at tents at Camp Miller too. They lost their homes. So.
Yep.
Already
And then
know
there's all these organizations that they have personally contacted me. I know for a fact they've told me they have, oh, we have 8 campers available. We have 9 campers. But then their vetting process, it's going to take weeks to get one camper to somebody. So it's like, okay, how are you helping people? They could have had their house built for them by now.
Like I said, they have been sending emails or texts every couple of days. I mean, every couple of weeks about paying back a generator if you bought one, or
Just mass.
or housing, but
Mass
nothing other than
messages.
that. Yeah, but nothing other than that.
This was pinned up against that tree, and I was digging through it, but they didn't tell us till afterward that they found half a body here, like a couple days before that. Again,
Right here.
There was like that side by side was pinned up against that tree, and that's where they found her, right by the side by side. Like, look at that house.
So originally, this road was like not nicely paved like how it is now, obviously.
Oh, this is a million times better. It was just all this debris. We had to drive all over it, so it was only dirt bike and side by sides. Yeah, look at this car to the right.
Whoa!
That
yeah!
truck.
Oh my gosh, that's a car!
There's actually another one right back there in front of that bulldozer.
Holy! This looks like a war zone, like something you would see on a battlefield.
But that's the strength of
The water. It was so strong. It was just like spinning these cars in the water and tearing them up like a blender, basically. So what was all here, do you know? Like, was there anything here? Maybe just grass?
We did look up the videos, but I mean, if you go on like real estate pages and things like that, and you look at these properties, some of them have the 360 degree, like sight unseen.
Yeah.
That people will buy, and a lot of people are buying those these days. I don't know how they do it, but they'll just buy a house and a whole property without even seeing it in person. It's because they have the 360 degree view of the whole property and the house and all that. But most all this debris came from the houses up the mountain. So once we get to we start going up the mountain, houses from up the mountain where the water broke and the mudslide started. So we picked a couple up, an older couple that was walking right up here, like week 2. And we asked them if they wanted to ride, and the wife was like, "Oh no, we're okay." And then the husband was like, looked at her and said, "Hey, let's take the ride."
Aw.
And so we had only a 2-seater side by side, and there was already 3 of us on it. So I got in the back and stood in the bed with my buddy Trevor, and then the 2 got in with the driver. But where their house is where they found a lady's body. And then we got there, and they had a 4-wheeler that was buried in their garage, and we dug it out and then got it running for them because they didn't have any transportation. I know they sent us up to do wellness checks on multiple people out here, and we only found one of them, and that was Forrest with the dogs. Oh, this goes all the way up the mountain for miles.
Oh, look at all this debris.
Yeah, this road is like they just fixed that driveway, it looks like, finally. That house is gone.
Oh, wow. Gosh. The water went up, it looks like all the way up to there.
Yeah, you see where it's washed out
It like
off
gouged the side of that
the mountain there. Like, that's how high the water was rushing, where it just washed it out.
up to the top of that, yeah.
I mean, again, in videos, it doesn't give it any justice.
Look at this lady. She's been here since day 1. Just,
What?
she stuck it out. She brought her umbrella, though. Yeah, it's crazy how many houses got
Look
lucky,
at the trees.
honestly. That bridge is gone.
Oh, all the trees around this house were fell, but
I've seen that owner hike across and climb up that ladder that he's had to put
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely
so
get
he
that.
can climb up and get to the house itself because the access was
Look
blocked.
I'll
at
get you
the
to a gap where you can
road.
see it.
that's how they're going in and out of the house then.
Yeah.
I've watched him do it. He just parks right over here somewhere, wherever he can pull off, and has to wade through the water and then climb up the embankment.
Just like what we saw earlier.
Snapped and laid over. There's a ton of trees over there just laid over.
It's straight drop off. So it was raining, and then boom, landslide. I wonder how much water it was.
Oh, I don't know.
It was probably astronomical.
But it had been building up for days.
Yeah.
Because that band came through and stopped right over this area and just was flooding before the hurricane even hit.
I'd be scared of getting stuck.
Well, there's a lot of side-by-sides coming through, so they could pull us out. Most of them have winches and stuff. The only thing I can think is if it's just not all mud and it's like kind of dug out and there's some rocks and stuff in there, we'll get up fine.
Yeah.
But if it's all mud, we're just going to spin. Yeah, I will be amazed if we make it. No, there's a bunch of rocks under there.
Seems like it'll be alright.
Let's
It's
see.
up towards the top at that curve that we were slipping most.
Well, no, we were slipping right here at the bottom the most.
That's what I was saying. You'd know better, but what I felt was at that curve.
Yeah.
Here it goes nothing.
Well, I'm going to get some speed once we get close to the water. All right. Because we got to get up this first part. Yeah, that was actually nothing. That was a house.
That's the side of the house. It should be going to the ground.
This part just got, I mean... It'll take years to get all this stuff out. All this debris.
So this was the only spot you couldn't get a vehicle through. Mm-hmm. You had to have a side-by-side.
So who fixed that bridge, do you know? Like volunteers? Or
I honestly don't know.
yeah.
I'm very surprised they fixed it that quickly and
I
that
know.
well. I would say probably,
Look at the mountainside laid over and split.
but there's some really bad hills that we've seen that are just every tree is laid
Yeah.
down.
And the side was just gouged out there by the river. I mean, in the beginning, I'm sure you saw like big news corporations, right?
Not Good Morning America came and interviewed Ground Force.
Yeah.
Some company donated $25,000 and they came to the Walmart parking lot and interviewed Ground Force for Good Morning America. But they didn't go out and show the devastation. They just showed the line of cars of people coming through getting supplies. It wasn't like, oh, take us out to see the devastation. They're just like praising nonprofits and camps that are, giving out supplies to families that need food and clothes and stuff like that. They didn't come out and show this. Well, they're always looking for the worst stories unless they're told not to show it.
Exactly.
That's how the media works. They look for the most negative, devastating stories they can find to capture people's attention and get a bigger audience and get people talking about it and tuning back in the next time to get updates. So the fact that they didn't do that with this and aren't doing that with this means they were told not to.
Positive, they're going to be a lot less likely to garner more support. So you come out and you're like, oh my gosh, we gave all of this money and we're helping these people and everything's fine.
Chronicles of Olivia.